everybody, this is Brian Hogue. Welcome to another week of Chiller Chat. Now my guests tonight are Rod Fee and Annette Holmes. How are you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Doing very well.
Thank you for having us back.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Now you two are with T.O.P.S Paranormal.
That's correct.
And could you remind our viewers again what T.O.P.S Paranormal is?
Yeah, T.O.P.S Paranormal stands for the Titusville Oil City Paranormal Society. So myself, I'm originally from Oil City. Annette is originally, well, not originally from Titusville, but has lived in Titusville many years. And so we, as founder and co-founder, just came up with that, and that's basically what T.O.P.S means. So.
Well, last time you were here, you were telling me about your investigations, obviously, and now do you have anything to follow up with from the last time that we talked?
Yeah, we do. We actually have some more information. We've actually had some others get involved as well in one particular case that we're still working on. We're not completely finished with it. It'll be
It'll be a year, December 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
That we've been working on this case, and we're looking to turn it into a documentary. It's so compelling.
Oh,
absolutely.
And then with the other team that we had look over our evidence, they confirmed everything I got as a medium, their medium, and also what Rod got on any of our ITC work. So we basically laid it in their hands and said, here, take it, and what do you think? And they actually were able to fill in some of the missing pieces for this case. So my goal is to make a documentary when we finish it. So I'm looking forward to that.
So speaking of this particular case, so the first photo that I'm going to show you here, what you're looking at was a photo that was originally sent to us. So this photo was what brought us into the case itself.
Okay.
And although when you're looking at it, it kind of looks almost forged or fake. We have had it authenticated. We've actually had a professional photographer take a look at it, and he feels it's real.
Okay.
So just due to some of the details that he's been able to point out. And then, so that of course was provided to us. We then went into this investigation several times, and I believe it was on the third investigation when we were actually in the basement area. So the second photo that you're looking at here is a photo that we actually captured just at random, and what you're going to see is a small face kind of peering out, looking at us behind a stairwell of steps. So very interesting. We've of course gathered a lot of evidence. Some updates on that case since the last time we spoke. They certainly are trying to convince us to unearth a certain area on the property. However, we're taking and treating that a little lightly. I'll have Annette kind of explain a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we were given details early on, and we had to wait till the winter kind of passed into spring.
Okay.
So we could actually put those pieces together. It actually took us to the exact location that they kept telling us about.
Okay.
They kept giving us more details, and they've been asking us to dig. So we interviewed more people. We actually interviewed the guy that surveys. He does maintenance work on the property.
Okay.
At first, I think he was a little freaked out. He was kind of a redneckish guy, and he was like, "Who are these people, and what exactly is their motive here?" And then once he started, he started listening to us, he actually took us to that spot.
Okay.
And said that there were things that went on every time he was in that spot. And he actually knew how to use dowsing rods. So after a little bit of kind of working him, we were able to get a lot of information that confirmed the actual locations where we feel that they're trying to tell us to dig. Now, however, that's kind of an ethnical case, you know, I mean, it also had to be discussed with the business owner.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do? It's been this many years. Are there still people still around that could potentially cause harm to anybody that we bring up, you know?
Are you permitted to delve into some of the details at this time? I know it's like a, and if not, no problem. I totally understand.
I mean, I will say that it is an establishment. It's in Clarion County. They are, I'll just say, a food establishment. And I don't want to give out too much, just because we really haven't been permitted by the by the business owners, the property owners to do that. But I mean, overall,
That's why I wasn't real sure where you were.
we're going to try
at
to
with that, yeah.
actually potentially get the general public involved eventually.
Okay.
Once we put an end to the case, then we may do some public investigations there as well
Okay.
to open it up and allow people to come in to experience exactly what we experienced during an investigation.
Are you permitted to say what you believe happened?
I think we could, you know, maybe give a little bit away. And we're not 100% on this, but I mean, we really feel from the messages and information that we're receiving from Spirit, as well as some of the mediumship that has been working on the case, that perhaps there was a lover's triangle that took place, and if we have to speculate, probably close to 40 years ago.
Okay.
So if that's the case, as Annette mentioned, there could still be people around that were involved. We do definitely know that one of the people involved is deceased, as well as the other two potentially that
Okay.
were involved, directly involved in the lover's triangle. But we're also getting some messages that there may be others. So again, we're not 100% done with this case. We actually plan to collab with another team and come in and hopefully, you know, put in a final end to this case. I mean, it's
Yeah.
approaching a year, and it's by far much longer than what we had ever anticipated on spending on it.
Yeah.
But
somebody in that lover's triangle, something might not have gone too right for them.
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm thinking that at least two people within the lover's triangle may have died at the hands of someone else, and
Okay.
that then perhaps that person that was directly involved in the wrongdoing died later of natural causes. So
Okay.
I mean, that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
You know, that's the information that we're getting between mediumship as well as what we're picking up through the equipment. So
Yeah.
And, yeah, and we've interviewed, like, you have to understand, this is going on a year, so we've interviewed witnesses who have heard, you know, a woman scream and help me, help me. I have heard it. And
Oh, you have?
I have,
Yeah.
and I don't get scared. But I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to, you know, and I didn't know what I was going to see. But I actually got the picture later on, the vision of who she is and what she looks like.
Huh.
And the other medium that we brought in from another team got the same. So we feel that this woman needs to be crossed over. So we're getting into this way more than we ever expected.
right.
But I think, like I said, hopefully, you know, some good will come out of it, and we'll put some of these spirits at peace. And
With what you're seeing, does that line up with what you know the background to be? I mean, is it everything lining up?
everything has lined up,
Okay.
absolutely everything. And that's why we brought it to another team with our, you know, our evidence, because we wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
you know, and we never said a word. We just said, here's our stuff.
Okay.
Look through it, and boom, it was all right there. And
That's
then-
probably the best way to do it, so they
Right.
don't get a,
Well, they were
Right.
able to validate
yeah.
what we had already documented. And then in addition to that, provide some other information and kind of fill in some gaps through their mediumship. And I mean, it's worked out fantastic. And I think I just want to bring them in for two reasons. One, there's still a few gaps, a few pieces of information that I think we're still missing. And then again, as Annette had mentioned, we really feel that one of the spirits that are reaching out to us through message would like to be crossed over, and for whatever reason, you know, is not at peace right now, probably until he or she, we're not quite sure there yet. We know that there's a he and we know that there's a she.
Okay.
We're not 100% sure which one is communicating this message, but they're not at peace. They want the truth told, and I don't feel that they're ready to cross over until that message is heard. So it's an interesting case.
When you say cross over, how? I mean, are you able to assist in that, or are you giving them information on how to do this, or how does that happen?
That's a great question. I'll kind of allow Annette to answer that.
Crossing someone over, you walk a fine line, I think.
Okay.
I believe someone's calling to be in that position.
Do they know where to go? I mean,
They
you're
don't
sending them in
always
the right
know where to
place?
go. No, they don't always
Okay.
know to look to the light. Sometimes you have to give them direction.
Okay.
And the other medium that we brought in from the other team felt that this spirit was not seeing that, and there was somebody waiting for
Oh.
them. So she will actually be coming and doing that part of it, and I will assist her, as well as the other medium on our team and someone else from her team. It's not something I personally like to get into, but it's something that's part of my job, you know, as a
Okay.
medium. So when they come to you and need help, and I heard her cry for help,
Yeah.
and then saw, you know, what I saw that came to me, I almost feel compelled to help her.
Wow.
So yeah, this has been, like I said, hopefully we're going to be able to make a documentary, because it's just unbelievable. We never expected. I think this is a once in a lifetime case.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. We've participated with other teams, sometimes directly announcing that we're in the field and do paranormal investigations, and sometimes kind of hiding amongst the other public. And I really feel, you know, we ask a lot of probing questions to some of the other investigators, and we really feel like this is a very special case, and that the information that we're getting in this investigation is very unique and very different than what we would normally actually find, let's say, you know, going into somebody's home or other business.
Okay.
It's just not the same level of evidence.
Yeah.
So it's been very compelling, very challenging, and but very interesting at the same time. So
Well, you brought up the word evidence, which makes me look at this in the equipment here.
yeah,
I take it this is for obtaining evidence and what you do.
it's a very small amount of it.
Yeah,
Of course, we
isn't
have
even a third.
we have you know, Rubbermaid bins full of different toys, gizmos, and gadgets, as well as we use mediumship, and so kind of going back to our first show, where we talked about how we go into an investigation, where there's me, the technical guy with all the toys. We'll go in and gather evidence that way, and then we have the mediumship side of the team that gather evidence naturally through their abilities. But so this crazy looking box that you see right here in the middle is kind of what launched me into this field, and it's built after a gentleman by the name of Stephen Huff, through Huff Paranormal, and he's a YouTuber. People can check him out, and he's grown leaps and bounds as far as in the ITC. ITC is instrumental transcommunication, and it really just consists of some type of a listening device for us,
Okay.
coupled or partnered with, we use a computer app, effectively is what I use. It's a word bank, so it's full of phonics, different words and enunciations, and they use that to form words and answer our questions, or simply just announce something that they would like us to hear. So it's not always the easiest thing during real time when we're doing an investigation, so we'll record all those sessions.
Okay.
And I'll actually provide a little sound of what it sounds like. If you
Okay.
listen, you may pick up something. We will usually record anywhere from a half an hour to an hour, and then that takes about 4 to 5 hours to analyze. So
Wow.
it does take some time. So that's the primary, and we don't really actually use this box anymore. Again, it was what I started with about going on 4 years ago. The actual software that's been developed now has come a long way, and it really has incorporated a lot of the things that this box was built or designed to do, and they've incorporated it right into the application. So we don't, usually I'll just use a Bluetooth speaker,
Okay.
the computer, and that's about it. It's kind of
What's
a neat
hanging
looking
from the
thing.
coil there? That like crystal looking item.
Oh, this
there?
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a clear quartz crystal. Again, it's just to kind of amplify
Oh, okay.
and help bring energy into the area to allow the spirits. Of course, they feel that they are made up of electromagnetic energy, or there's also static energy that they feel. And so again, it's just to bring energy into the area to help them, provide, sort of like give them a fresh set of batteries
Okay.
to be able to communicate with us. So
What about the lights on the, I see a bunch of
the
lights
lights
strung
were
on-
just more or less for effect, and again, to kind of draw them in.
Okay.
That's why I put them on there. Stephen, the gentleman who designed this originally, he had lights on his, so I threw some lights on mine.
Okay.
I tried to use the same exact electronic equipment that he suggested in building it, and it works. Yeah, again, I'm not an electrical engineer or somebody that's smart enough to figure out how it works, but I just know from using it, it does work.
Well, I don't know how my cell phone works, but I use it.
Exactly.
I'm with
Good
you.
point.
I'm with you.
Now, if you were going to use this in an investigation,
Mm-hmm.
how would you? You just go in and it's a recording device. Am I understanding that right?
Well, the device, this in itself does not record. I simply use my cell phone. The recorder on my cell phone. Actually, I've downloaded a little more sophisticated recorder that allows me to speed things up and slow things down. Because I will say, as you and I sit here and talk, we form our words and we have cadence in our voice so that we understand each other. They don't have the ability to do that.
Okay.
They're just relying on the equipment. So sometimes those messages will come through very fast. Again, sort of explaining why we don't always understand things in real time. But, that's why I record it. It allows me to then review it. I can slow things down to pull that message out, speed it up if I have to. It's a challenge at times, but it also is very rewarding when you get a message that clearly is something that they've tried very hard to communicate.
Yeah.
And in this case that we've been talking about, of course, it's there's a lot of important messages that they're trying to convey.
Have you recorded through that instrument or through any other instruments that you have? Have you recorded any messages or words that you clearly understood to be words? I mean,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Annette.
We use a program called the Phasma,
Okay.
and it's very clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they don't always like to talk to me that
Okay.
way, but they'll communicate with him and maybe our other team members.
Okay.
But it's very clear, and it's very accurate. You have to give them a little bit of time to answer. Recently, we were down in the Pittsburgh area. We were trying to be civilians, you know,
Incognito.
incognito
Blend
with
in,
another
huh?
group, and they had what's called a spirit box that they built. They built it out of a transistor radio from Radio
Okay.
Shack.
Okay.
Okay, and I got the message that the spirits were tired because they put 100 people through. It was like speed dating for ghost hunting, and so I got the message. They were telling me have them stop because I'm tired, you know. And so
Oh, okay.
when he came to me and he said ask a question, I said, you know, please tell me what you said. And they said we're tired. And I said that's what they told me. And I said please verify that I'm right. And it said right.
Yeah.
And so everybody, it was very clear, you know, everybody in that room in our little group got to hear, you know, that they don't, this group particularly doesn't have a medium on their team. They believe and rely on their equipment, which is fine because everybody does everything differently. But it was very hard for me. I think about halfway through, I started just kind of speaking up about what I saw and what I was feeling and seeing, and I got kind of tackled in the ladies' room with all the ladies that were watching us in our group and said,
Oh, yeah?
what's going on with you? Like, you know, like how are you getting this information?
They figured
So,
out that we were,
Yeah, we couldn't hide.
that we were actually in the field and.
Yeah.
and,
Right.
So the jig was up, as they say.
Right.
Well, I
so-
think it's neat that you do use the technology and the medium.
It works great
abilities.
for us.
Yeah.
It really does.
I'm surprised more, or maybe they're starting to. I don't know. I don't know enough
Yeah.
paranormal investigation teams to know whether this is something that's starting to pick up or not.
Well, it's kind of like this. Like some teams use us use mediumship. Others solely rely on equipment. Like I said, the one we had just attended had no interest in having a medium on their team. I hopefully changed their mind. You know.
Yeah.
They certainly perked up.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. But you know what we do, we feel is very effective. We were very careful at choosing our team members that assist us. So, in fact, Rod and Lori, who's the other medium on our team, who is also an excellent medium, they just did a residential case here local in Oil
Okay.
City. And we call it the Beetlejuice case because it's actually Beetlejuice. Like these spirits are living, and they come through and told us, you know, on our equipment that they're sharing the house with the family,
Oh.
and they communicate with the daughter. So yeah, so
Oh.
I read, you know,
And they're staying in the attic.
Yeah,
So
They ought to make a movie about that.
yeah, right. So I was just like, wow,
it's a
this is-
classic
Yeah.
classic Beetlejuice.
Yeah, so it's just amazing the information we get with
Huh.
with our team and our team members. And like I said, we now also have a photographer
Okay.
on our team, and that's what he does for a living. He does videography and all that stuff, and that's how we were able to verify the photo that you'll see. He was able to pick out stuff to verify that was an
Okay.
actual like real.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing.
He was able to validate that
Yeah.
it was not
It was not
photoshopped or,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, how
Okay.
old that photo was, what kind of camera it was taken with.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so I think what we do works well.
Very well.
Yeah.
That's neat. Well, now you have some other equipment down here. Is this? I mean, I see the one looks like a laptop. Is there any
Well-
unique qualities about that?
No, not really, other than, you know, we rely on the different ITC apps that we use. Of course, you know, most of them are Windows-based, and so, of course, we just use a laptop to run the apps. I've got some handheld items that we use. And this is a K2 meter, and it's really just effectively used to identify EMF or electromagnetic frequency. So, you know, obviously sitting in the studio here, there is a lot of electrical interference. So
Yeah.
this thing would be going off quite a bit. But if we're in an area that is not influenced by any EMF, and we happen to get a reading, of course, you know, that we like to think that that's a hit, you
Yeah.
know. So,
And some of us will use it for communication
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
You know, we'll set it down and say, you know, please light up, you know, ask a question, you know, what is, you know, how old are you? Are you 5, you know, years old, say, for example, can you light that up? And it'll light up, and so we can use it
That'll
for
be a positive
communication.
response if they
Yeah,
light
we
it
can
up.
use it for communication as well.
and there's just different variances and different varieties of these handhelds. They're all EMF detection. I do have one that is a static electro detector. This is an EMF. This is called the Rook, and we get a lot of our equipment from Ghost Stop. They're online.
Oh, okay, I see the brand there.
Yeah, they actually designed this particular handheld, and so I mean, originally I built this unit, but we buy a lot of equipment as well online through Ghost Stop and through Paratechnologies. They're another outfit that kind of the latest and greatest
Okay.
in the investigation field.
Well, what's this meter down here? I see a couple of
This
them
one
in
here,
this case.
again, it's just another variety or another variance. This is just called the ghost meter. It has a needle
Okay.
that you know, will fluctuate when any type of EMF is detected. It also lights up, and it does have audio as well that will go off when there's EMF detection. So I mean, this is just, again, it's a small amount of the equipment that we use. We've got wireless cameras and full spectrum cameras and
Infrared.
Yeah, infrared cameras and
Probably one of
GoPros
the best
and-
pieces of equipment is an actual, I call it a deer cam.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
A trail cam. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, people around here know what I mean. You
Right.
know, if you hunt, you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Those capture incredible photos. You wouldn't
Okay.
believe some of the things that'll capture.
And we
you
can
know.
set those up in an investigation, and leave them there for days,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and then go back. Very similar to how people will put them out in the woods. We set those up, you know, in an area that we're investigating, so.
Well, maybe when you guys come back on the show, maybe you'll have some images or something from those
Yes.
those cameras
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Right.
you can share with us.
Right.
Now, how quickly? How can somebody get in touch with you if they want to ask you questions or get you to look into an
Sure.
event or property?
It's topsparanormal@gmail.com. That's our email. That's probably the best way to reach out. I check that email daily. We do have a website. It's a work in progress. If there's anybody out there with
Yeah, anybody, please.
WordPress with WordPress experience, we would certainly love to make you an honorary member of the team if you would just keep our website updated. But yeah, email, go out to the website. Our contact telephone information is there.
Okay, great.
So-
Yeah.
Rod, Annette, thank you very much for joining me again, and thank you very much, all of you,
Yes, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
joining us for another episode of Chiller Chat. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good chiller night. We'll see you next week.
How many times do I have to tell you, just because something isn't good doesn't mean it's bad?